be 50 now 5. Hit 55. Would have been 55. Don't move 50.
Guys, welcome. Just wanted to thanks to Ann. You know, she's kind of impromptu. It kind of morphed into she and I were going to do some just kind of one-on-one stuff, but it just morphed into this. I think we'll take 20 minutes, and this may give you some ideas. But the number one thing I think is now that you're a realtor, what do you do next? Like, how do you get started? And these are just 10 points that I think that can get you off to a fast start. And some of you, I think, are already doing this, but nonetheless, it's worth looking at and repeating. And I'm going to start with, and I'll deep dive into some of these, and then you, of course, you guys ask questions. Just hop on and say, hey, I got a question real quick, and then I'll certainly answer any questions as we go. I think, Dan, I think you and Will probably understand what a COI is, Center of Influence. That's a recruiting term that we've used in the past. Who are your centers of influence? I think is an easy way to start. That's what we call a warm market. And with the warm market it's almost like I think of a nucleus, and you talk to your warm market, and then you work your way out. And you talk to them. It's not about, hey, did you know I'm a realtor? I can sell your house for you. It's just a simple conversation of, did you know that what's going on in the market? Did you know that banks are still doing financing? Did you know that real estate transactions are still closing? And that leads into, Will, how are you so smart on this stuff? Well, I mean, yeah, because we're still buying and selling. We're still having transactions throughout the company. We got a closing going on right now. Natalie's over at a closing. So they're still happening. I mean, the real estate industry is an essential business that must continue to operate. And I think there's a large portion of the population that doesn't understand that right now. So talking with your centers of influence, whomever that is, you have to identify that and then work your way out. And then finally, or next is the strategy for strengthening your relationships. So who is people that you know that can help introduce you to someone else, right? And how do you even build those relationships from the beginning? And some of it may just simply be at church. It can be at the Blount County Chamber of Commerce meeting that they have. Like in Anderson County, they always have networking events. I've been to a couple of them, and they truly are really cool. Like, you walk around, you get a chance to talk to people. You're talking to a landscaping guy, you're talking to whomever, and you're handing out cards. Like, you're legitimately like, hey, here's who I am, and here's what I can do. And it's simply networking. It's free. Like, you don't have to pay. Now, you got to be a member in order to do that. And I think like Anderson County is like $90 a year or something. It's dirt cheap to be able to go to those events. Now, I think here's where it's things that you guys can start putting into action right now is building your contact list. What you need to do is create yourself an account with either, I put two of them on here. Constant Contact is one, MailChimp is another. These are email platforms that will store your names, your phone numbers, your addresses, and you can partition it to have who your centers of influences are. Hank, I'll just have to call me back. To partition it to like, okay, these are my centers of influence, and you can have their names, phone numbers, and just keep it organized. And then like Dan, for example, you've got a couple of different buyers that you're working with right now. Have a buyer's list in there, and then you're putting all of their contact information within that folder. So just think of it as subfolders within that software program. It's free. MailChimp and Constant Contact's both free until you get a certain amount of contacts, and they start charging, I don't know, it's like $10 or $15 once you get over 1,000 contacts or 500 contacts. We use Constant Contact from the company, and I think ours is getting up there. It's expensive because we got over 10,000 contacts in our database. But that is what you can do today. Like, get you a software program and start storing your contacts in there so you can have an easy resource guide. And then you can start doing your own emails from that platform. Obviously, I like to start close to home, like within your neighborhood, meeting new people. If you don't know your neighbor, like we don't really know our neighbors. I mean, we know their names, but we don't really know them. There's advantages there to take an advantage of knowing your neighbors. And I'll give you a great example. In our neighborhood, you guys probably know we've only been there for since July. 3 houses down, another realtor just listed that house. What? Like, how is that even possible? Like, you have the principal broker of a real estate company living 3 houses up, and how do we not have that listing? Well, I'll tell you how. It's because the couple who has that listing, people in the community know who they are, and they go to networking events, and they've just built their center of influence out. So don't have your neighbor, in my opinion, like if you're a realtor and your neighbor lists their home with someone else, with another agent, one of 2 things happen. Either A, you guys don't like each other, or B, they didn't know you're a realtor. Guarantee it. That's it. There's no other reason. There's absolutely no reason, unless maybe their son or daughter is an agent.
I got 4 realtors living in my little neighborhood.
Perfect. Figure out how to beat them, right? Like, and that's awesome. Like, that is legit. Okay, now, I love it that you said that, Dan. So Dan just said, I've got 4 other realtors that live in my neighborhood. What can you, and here's the deal. And like, you maybe are friends with them. And let's just assume that you are, for example, for a second. Let's assume that you're all friends and you're all a tight-knit community, and, you don't want to piss them off. You don't want to step on anybody's toes and say, hey, look at me. I'm better than these other 3 people. But what value can you provide to your neighborhood that they're not providing? And I'll give you a perfect example. In our community, they have a newsletter that goes out once a quarter. Figure out when that newsletter is and ask the president or the secretary, do you care if I insert an article about the housing market? And dude, if you can't write it, call Natalie and Natalie will help you. Or call Ann, or call somebody who has better right, because like I'm probably not the right guy to write an article. But we have people around us that are pretty good content writers, and put together a 2-minute read on the housing market, how it's affecting your neighborhood. Dude, you just shot past those other 3. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's tough. Everybody's competing for a little bit. I know what you're saying, but everybody's doing it. Yeah.
Well,
Everybody has the same idea.
Well, I mean, I disagree with you. I don't think everybody does have the same idea. I don't think the others are actually doing that. Like, if now, and you guys may not have a newsletter. I think what's happening is only the strong are going to survive. We're going to go from 5,700 realtors in the Knoxville area down to probably 3,200, because people are just going to sit back and they're going to think that they can't make it, and they're not being creative. They have no idea how to shine, for example, in this time. And look at it from a recruiting perspective. How are other recruiters doing better than other recruiters? Why are some doing better than others? Well, it's because they're out hustling, and they're trying to figure out how to get in front of the market. But now you could be right. Maybe those 3 are influencing you to be able to say that. I just don't see it. From my foxhole, I don't see other agents out hustling and trying to be creative and figuring out how to provide value to the community, to where Dan is the guy they need to call. But good point. So identify who the influencers are that you have a connection. For example, let's go back to that your community board, for example. If you know the president of the HOA, he's an influencer, or she is an influencer. They can help you get in front of the community. They can help you get on the newsletter. If you know anyone at the chamber, if you know anyone in the school system, if you know the barber, whoever those people are who can help you get in front of the community.
Kim can't see the invite, Jason.
Say again?
Kim and Rose can't see the invite.
I mean, she can't see the invite?
It was in her email.
Yeah, she has to go to her email. Okay. So this one is ultra important right here. And Dan, you're probably starting to see some of this, I would imagine. Build a process and a workflow something that's sustainable right now. And I'll give you a great example. So you just found a guy or a family potentially that's looking for a house. How do you walk the process with them? What do you do first? What's the first thing you're doing? Well, you're talking to them about, are they pre-qualified? Do they already have a mortgage lender? When do they want to move? How big of a house do they want? So that workflow, now you've got it identified, and you've got your checklist or your sheet, if you will, of questions that you've had them answer. Then they get moved into the funnel. And what I mean by that is now you're on the MLS and now you're searching for their homes because it's already on the MLS. That data is captured and you can utilize that part, right, Dan? You've seen that already?
Yeah.
Yep. So, for example, I'll use AJ for example. So it shows you the homes that you've been searching for and what you've been sending out to him. What do you do from that point? Like, how are you following up? How are you scheduling your open houses? How are you going out? And these are rhetorical questions. How are you going out on a map, opening a map, and figuring out what our path looks like for showings this weekend? Those didn't work. What do you do next? They didn't like those homes. Now, what's the next step? Are we just simply searching the MLS today to see if do we have alerts set up on the MLS? So figuring out what that workflow looks like and then repeat it every single time is very, very important. You got to have kind of that list of things to go through as you're preparing the next buyer that comes in. Because I'm going to tell you guys, it's not going to be long within, hey, Kim.
Hey.
That's okay. We're recording this, so you can go back and watch the first few minutes. It's not going to be long until this is over. And I'm going to tell you, I talked about it yesterday or day before yesterday on our Knoxville Business Show podcast too. What's going to happen with the housing market is as soon as this is over, we are going to have the spring rush. It is going to be intense. It's going to be insane. Every agent is going to have multiple listings that they're going to have because everyone's going to see, oh my gosh, stock market's going up, coronavirus is going down. Now it's time to sell my house. And I'm going to tell you, if you're not in front of them, if they don't know to call Kim Monroe or Larry Williams or Ann Sweeney or Dan Wilson or whomever it is, I mean, they're simply going to get on Google and search. All you can be doing right now is making sure that your centers of influence understand, hey, I'm ready. I'm available. I can make this happen because it's coming. I promise you, it's coming. I don't know when it's going to come. It could be the last week in April. It could be the first week in May. But what will happen, back to our point earlier, is all these other agents are just going to start falling off. And they're going to be like, yeah, I'm good. I'm going to, this is not really right for me. I can't survive this time. Instead of being creative and writing those news articles, writing those newsletters, doing a blog post. Connection is unstable. You guys still hear me?
Yeah, you blocked out for just a second, but you're fine now.
Okay, awesome. So getting on there and writing and being in front of people, and we're going to get to that here in just a second. That leads me to this next point. Brand yourself everywhere. Like, it was much easier in the Army as a recruiter because you wore a uniform and you had that U.S. Army patch on your left shoulder. People naturally knew your brand because it said U.S. Army. It was really easy to identify a recruiter here locally. Now, maybe they didn't know right away that you were a recruiter based off that U.S. Army patch, but they knew you had something to do with the Army. So when you started talking, it's like, oh yeah, I figured you were kind of a recruiter or something. People don't know that you're a realtor. You're not walking around with a t-shirt saying I'm a realtor. Hey, maybe that's an idea. Get some t-shirts made up. I don't know. I can sell your house today. Coronavirus, kiss my ass on the back of your shirt. I don't know. Do something creative. But Dan, that's what I'm talking about. What people aren't doing is they're not figuring out how to be creative right now with time on our hands, right? And I get it. It's a struggle. How do we survive right now, and how do we keep selling homes? But at the end of the day, it's also about building longevity. for when the spring rush, the spring bust is going to happen. It's going to be ridiculous. So building your brand everywhere you go, having your business cards, handing them out, talking to people, and that leads into, I'm going to do a deep dive right here on your social media pages. Dan, you're going to get picked on. Maybe. We're going to use you as an
I bet
example.
his is better than mine.
Well, I don't even have one, so it's way better than mine.
Dan, you thought everybody was doing the same thing. Hey,
Yeah, I've seen other people say they look better than mine.
it's okay. You got to start. You have to start somewhere. And let's dissect. Dan, I hope this is okay. We're going to do it anyway, whether it's not okay or not, whether it's okay or not. So let's dissect Dan's page just for a minute. All I did, if you guys didn't notice, was I searched JD's Realty and all I've done was type in JDS. I got Natalie, Dan, and Kim, and then an Antique Addiction. I don't know why that popped up, but the first one is JD's Realty and Auction, right? Oh, I know why, because we actually own that page right now. So I didn't have to actually type in Dan Wilson. I'm going to Dan Wilson's page now. The cheapest, easiest way to start writing and building content is on Facebook right now. You do not have to set up a landing page and a website and spend money necessarily on a website and start a blog on a website, because this was free to do. Like, Dan didn't pay anything. You guys didn't pay anything to actually set this up. This was all free. The only thing it done was took some time and effort and energy to do it. Right here, you can start posting articles. Even if it's just the realtor thought of the day, it's a photo, whatever it is, the article that we were talking about, putting it on in the newsletter, the current state of Blount County, whatever your neighborhood is real estate environment. Get very specific and write on this page, and then share the hell out of it. Right? That's just where you can start building some content. That's just one simple, easy. Dan, how long did it take you to set this up?
Yeah, less than an hour, I think. Probably less than that.
Right?
That was pretty quick.
Easy. I set up, so that's my personal page, like my family, friends, whomever. But I set up the other day a business page for myself. Just simply a business page, right? Easy to do. It took me, just probably because I know how to do it, took me about 3 minutes to set this up. And this is where I'm posting our blog posts, our Knoxville business articles, business show, and things like that. Just to build brand, just to build awareness, right?
How do you get started? Because I know I built one, but every time mine pops up, it wants me to pay to publish it. Like, I made this nice page ages ago, like in January, and then it says, no one sees this but you.
You probably have your settings
No.
wrong.
What you're talking about is they're asking you to promote your page. That's what they're wanting you to do. They're wanting you to do a paid promotion. Like, if you set what's the name of your page?
And I don't even know if it's really set up yet. Do Charlotte Ann. Yeah, that's just my personal one, I think. Yeah.
But what did you call your business page?
Um,
Did you call it like Charlotte Ann Sweeney, JD's Realty and Auction?
I think I did, but it would have shown up there, right?
Try just Ann.
Show up right here under pages.
Try just Ann instead of Charlotte. Maybe you didn't do Charlotte.
Uh-oh, we got 10 minutes left.
No,
It's not on here. So you need to bring your laptop down, and let's walk through it, and I'll get it set up for you. Okay.
Okay.
We'll get you set up. All right, Instagram. Guys, you got to be on Instagram. If you don't have an Instagram page right now, you're absolutely way behind. Go set up an Instagram page. TikTok, go set up a TikTok account. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care if you don't use it. Set up a TikTok account. I set one up. My first video I posted got 1,987 views on it. Organic. It didn't pay anything. It was free. I got all it took was, and it's a 10-second video. That's all it is. And this is free stuff. I'm giving y'all free stuff here. So talk about create your social media page. Whoops. Create content and start posting every day. 4 times a day is a minimum. Snap photos, guys, where you're out working. If you see something that's cool in your neighborhood, maybe somebody's beautiful yard, just take a picture of the yard. You don't have to take a picture of the house. Just talk about how happy you are springtime's coming and able to get out and breathe the fresh air. Whatever it is, you have to start posting. I promise you, that's where your business is coming. Remember, back 25 years ago, before the internet was prevalent, real estate transactions and real estate relationships were built around the barbershop. They were built around the courthouse. They were built around the salons. They're not anymore. People are searching for content and searching who they need to find online. If you just refuse to do the online stuff, you will never be successful within the real estate community. The people who are successful right now, it's because they've been an agent for 25 years. They're not online, and all their referral business is coming in, right? It's just simply referral business because they know people. They will become irrelevant, I promise you, if they're not figuring out how to be online. Do what you're naturally good at. And Dan, I understand that you're not good or comfortable being in front of the video camera, and that's okay. That is absolutely okay. Nobody cares. But you can also write. Will, you're pretty damn good at being behind a video camera, believe it or not, whether you knew that or not. Do videos. I mean, legitimately do videos and just talk about, but you obviously have to spend time doing research too. Like you can't just be rambling on. Like you have to understand what market is doing, how many homes have been sold in your neighborhood. You should know that. This is just easy, free stuff. And guys, I do all this stuff in the evening time. Like during the day, I'm just reacting and putting out fires and going on assessments and trying to line up, the personal property auctions and everything else. The research, I'm just constantly trying to figure out what's happening today, what's going on next. That's how you're going to be successful, and that's how people are going to recognize who you are and what's going to put you on the map the fastest. None of this happens fast. Like this is just not a quick, let me get started today. Kim, how long have you been an agent now? 2 years, 2.5, 3 years?
3 years. 3 years, I think.
Yeah.
How long has Natalie been?
3 years, yeah.
Yeah. So I was right after her.
Yeah. So, this doesn't happen overnight. And Kim hasn't, correct me if I'm wrong, but you haven't been aggressively promoting that you're an agent online.
No.
It just takes time to build.
But I have people. Yeah. You get people that know after a while. And it's through the social media, like you're talking, that they realize that you are a realtor. And they're like, oh, are you still doing real estate? Even though they see that I'm doing the estate stuff, they're like, oh, are you still doing that? And you're like, oh yeah. So that's why I agree, keep putting it on there. And that does let them know that you're still active.
Yeah. And at some point, if and when any of you are ready to spend money, add money, I can do deep dives with you on how to spend, $100 a month on Facebook ads. And back to kind of what you were talking about earlier, it keeps asking you to pay because only you can see this. I can show you how to do that smartly, not just doing what they're asking. What they want you to do is a Facebook boosted post. It's not a smart way to advertise. I promise you. I've done it. I understand it. I know how it works. But I can certainly show you how to do an engagement ad or a traffic ad, driving people to your page, doing a quick 15-second video on why. Let's face it. Why should someone give Dan Wilson a call today to list your home? What can you provide? I've preached this and preached this. What can you provide me? What kind of content can you provide me? How can you help me get the best price out of my home? Because at the end of the day, the home seller, he just wants the best price, right? That's what he wants. And he just wants to get a relationship. I think we're down to like 4 minutes. hit me with some questions.